Well, hello, friends. I hope you're having a great day today. Welcome to Thursday's edition of Take 5. We are in the series that we've entitled The Lord My Healer. And this week we're trying to name 6 very specific biblical facts that I just really believe that we need to know concerning the subject of divine healing. We've been talking about them all week, and we still got 3 more to do, so we're going to jump right in here today. Yesterday, we answered the question, is the lack of healing always a sign of a lack of faith? And we got that answer yesterday. Let's answer 2 questions today if we can. Number 4, is it biblical for a Christian to depend on the natural healing process of time and or use medicine? Is it biblical to depend on the healing process of time that comes naturally to your body and or use medicine? Now, our understanding on the subject must be that if there is a natural healing process, that means that Christians at times are going to get sick. And healing's not always instantaneous. It's not always something that we just have faith and make it go away. Sometimes God chooses to use time and medicine as a means. The very fact that God created our bodies with an immune system meant that He intended for our bodies to heal themselves from certain things if and when possible. The reason your body gets a fever is because you have a virus, and that's your body's immune system way of trying to destroy that thing. It's in your body. Regurgitation and looseness of bowels, that just means your body's following the divine code God put in it to try to get rid of a foreign substance that's causing you sickness or pain. So God created this natural process that sometimes takes time, and it's very biblical, it's very Christian, it's very spiritual, and it's full of faith because we trust the Lord to be our healer. Also, medicine, when used wisely and timely, it's completely supported by scriptures because, hey, let's face it, every good and perfect gift comes from God. It's not the devil making people better in the hospitals after all. That's God doing that also. Now, when you look back into the Old Testament to King Hezekiah, the prophet Isaiah come to him and said, you're ill, you're sick, you're at the point of death, and God has said that you need to put your house in order, that you are going to die and you will not recover. Well, Hezekiah turned his face to the wall and he immediately began to pray, and he talked to God, and he told God how good he had been and how faithful that he had been. And so God spoke to Isaiah and said, go back and tell him, I've heard his prayer and I will heal him. And he told Isaiah what to do. He said, tell them to take a poultice of figs and put on that cancerous boil and he'll be healed. And he did it. And in 3 days he was healed. Now, isn't that amazing? God gave this man word. This man prayed and God said, okay, I'm going to heal him, but we're going to use medicine and we're going to use time. And so isn't it amazing? God didn't just snap his fingers and make it go away like so many in today's society saying that it has to be, if God's going to do something, it has to be. Here is the same God that they're talking about. Well, maybe not the same God that they're talking about, but the God of the Bible, the God that you and I know, here he is saying, I'm going to heal you, use medicine and take time. Now, isn't that something? So please understand that sometimes God just uses those type of means. Another instance you can find in the New Testament, Paul's young protege Timothy had bouts with sickness in his stomach as well as other infirmities, and Paul gave him instructions to stop drinking only water, which was probably causing some of his sickness because of the contamination, and use a little wine as medicine. 1 Timothy chapter 5:23, stop drinking only water and use a little wine because of your stomach and your frequent illnesses. Now, this does not justify the indulgence of alcohol, nor does it justify social drinking, as some have said. This does, however, validate the use of medicine, and here the use of a little alcohol when it is used as medicine or in some type of tonic. Now, all of this I'm telling you is just so that you will understand that God is a healing God, but sometimes God uses time. He uses the natural process of our body healing itself, and sometimes God uses medicine as a means for healing. Now, the second question we're going to ask is going to be right the opposite of this. Is medical science then always the answer? That also, the answer is absolutely not. Medical science, doctors, medicine, and hospital care, that's not always the answer either. This is why it's so important that when we pray to God for healing, we let God do what He wants to do, how He wants to do it, because sometimes He uses doctors, sometimes He uses medicine, sometimes He uses hospitals or time or the natural process of healing, and then sometimes it's His will to do it immediately without the aid of medical science. The Bible tells us, Mark chapter 5, that there was a woman that had an issue of blood. She'd been bleeding for 12 years, and it said that she had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors, and it had cost her everything that she had. When she heard about Jesus, she came crawling through the crowd and got to Him, because after all, what she was doing, being out in public with that issue of blood, that was a violation of the law of Moses and could cause her to get stoned. But this lady had had enough. She'd been to all the doctors that she could go to. They hadn't cured her. She spent all the money she had, used up all of her insurance premiums and everything, and still wasn't any better. And she said, you know what have I got to lose? And she goes to Jesus and says, if I can just touch the hem of His garment, I know that I will be made whole. And that's what she did. She crawled her way through that crowd, touched the hem of His garment, and she was healed. Jesus, recognizing that power leaving His body when she made that withdrawal that day, turned around, wanted to know who touched her, and finally she came to Him and said, it was me, Lord. I'm the one that did it. And He told her that day, daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be free from your suffering. And there was nothing wrong with this woman going to doctors or spending money on medical science. I think we should clearly see that by now. But I believe the biggest mistake she made was not going to God first and following His course of action. If she would have went to God first, then she would have known whether or not I need to take this thing further. Maybe I need to go see the doctor. Maybe I need to take medicine. Maybe this thing just needs time. I'm telling you all of this, friend, so that you will understand that God uses different means in different ways. And sometimes God uses time in the natural healing process of our bodies. Sometimes God uses medicine and doctors. And sometimes God, by His own mighty power, just instantaneously brings the healing. And this is why you and I have got to be open and have a balanced understanding of healing, so that we are not putting God in a tiny little box saying it's got to be this way and this way only. Friend, God is God. He is almighty. He is sovereign, and He can do things however He chooses to do. We have just got to trust His plan and know ultimately at the end of the day, He is our healer regardless of how He does it. Hey, I've got to get out of here. It's been good being with you today. I look forward to being with you tomorrow on Friday's edition of Take 5. Till then, God bless you. Have a great day. Hey, trust the Lord, my friend. He will never fail you.